right, excellent afternoon to all those who are watching us across globe. According to Plato, let me start from there. One of the penalties of refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by uneducated people, if I'm allowed to say that, and inferior people. So let me say this. Could we say that this applies to our country presently with all that is going on with 2023 election that everybody is talking about? All of that will be answered and many more as the show continues. Again, welcome to Real Talk with Kike, your #1 talk show. Yes, I'm saying #1, yes, because you have to claim it. All those other stations or all those other programs in other stations, they are coming behind us, don't mind them. Of course, I'm with my real talkers. How you doing? Please let me put a stamp to what I've just said now.
Of course, now that's how it is. Stamp sealed and delivered. In fact, no contest. Who is contesting? Nobody is carrying a party. No, don't contest it. We are the only, it's just like in Nigeria. We know that there are two main parties. If it's not the broom party, it's the umbrella party. So if you are not watching this show, I don't know what you are watching. What are you watching? Good afternoon, everyone. From everywhere, you have the opportunity and the privilege to see us again. It's a beautiful day, and we hope to bring the light to your faces again. My name is Damilola Banire, and Auntie Efo is here.
Hello, Damilola. How are you?
The woman in red.
Hello, Kike.
How you doing? I'm well.
Good.
A little vitamin D for your screen right now.
Okay, we're live and well. Hello, viewer. My name is Efo. Welcome to Real Talk with Kike today. You're going to have fun on this program today. No doubt about it.
All
if
right.
you know the guest that we have, then get ready.
All right, on this day, something tragic, you know, happened back in time, and it was a story of insecurity and loss of lives. Let's get to see what happened on this day in history segment. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
On this day in history, exactly 5 years ago, January 18, 2017, a Nigerian fighter jet searching for Boko Haram members on Tuesday accidentally bombed a camp for displaced people who had fled the militants, killing dozens of camp residents and at least 6 humanitarian workers and wounding numerous others. The bombing struck a government-run camp in Ran, Nigeria, near Cameroonian and Chadian borders, an area where Boko Haram had recently increased attacks. Government officials could not provide an exact death toll, saying they were focused on treating the wounded. Doctors Without Borders, the medical charity, said its team in Ran had counted 52 dead and 200 wounded as they tried to provide first aid and stabilize patients who were awaiting evacuation.
It's exactly 5 years ago, accidentally bombed camp, which occurred, I think, this administration as well, and especially, I think the displaced people were the ones that were attacked or that were affected more. And this area where they were affected were areas that Boko Haram had increased an attack. And I think that if you ask me, my takeaway from on this day, on this day in history segment is the fact that, they were not, I'm sorry to say this, they were not ready to account to the numbers of people that have died or that were wounded at the time. Yes, I understand that you wanted to focus on the wounded people, but part of what we've been talking about is accountability, which is what I feel that is still lacking till date. And you realize that has become a culture. There are certain things that do happen that I just feel that when you cannot hold certain people accountable, it becomes a culture. It becomes something that they feel that transparency is not something they have to bring on the table. And this is exactly what happened. But when I was doing some research about this on this day in history, I realized that there were all that link that were talking about 50 people, 50 people died and 200 people were wounded, and I felt that, okay, at least we do not have data or data in collating all these things. But the fact that we can put a number to it, and I feel that that is something that we really, really need to improve upon, despite the fact that a lot of people died. One person is a lot, and that's my own opinion when it comes to we losing people, especially when we could have avoided it. But, quickly, Auntie Efo, what's your take on this?
It's unfortunate this happened about 5 years ago. True, accidents do happen. It's really saddening to know that so many lives were lost. And for me, it was double double jeopardy for the victims, because in the first place they were already displaced persons, you know, and death came calling in the camp where they were residing. You know, I just want to believe that we've probably learned from what has happened. And I pray it never happens again, because life is sacrosanct. And like Kike said, one life is enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I'm taking away from this is two things. According to even President Muhammadu Buhari, he said it's a regrettable operational mistake. And also, for me, when I saw the story, and like I said, what was the mental state of the pilots at that time? And I also read some links that said they were going to probe the pilots who actually flew that jet. And two, for me, is what was the state of the aircraft? Sometimes most of these aircraft are not really in good conditions. Then you fly them. Mistakes are bound to happen. And of course, in that news too, we saw that United Nations evacuated some of their workers, and it's always like that usually, but it feels like nobody accounts for a Nigerian life. If before anything happens, United Nations, they are come to carry their people. They don't wait. But now, even that investigation is still hanging somewhere in the air. And like Kike rightly said, accountability. When there is no justice, it feels that another thing will happen. We'll wave it aside. How long do we continue on this train?
All right, United Nations coming to get their people. The British are yet to get Kalu in where he's a British born. He has a British passport. It's no news that a number of prominent Nigerians have started the show, and you know, in terms of campaigning from their rooftop, let me put it like that, to most seats of command in the country for 2023 elections. And in the past few weeks, Nigerians have seen the likes of Chief Aredele Momodu, Ayum Ojikalu as well. I think Kingsley Moghalu, and of course Yaya Bello, and even many more interesting, will I say, aspirants, and the conclusion of a young aspirant lady by the name Khadijat, you know, Okuno Lamidu, you know, joining the League of Presidential Aspiration for me, I think is very, very inspiring. But many Nigerians feel that they made a mistake in terms of their choice in 2015 and of course in 2019 election. But you know, as the state where we are in at the moment, if you ask me. But this brings us to the topic of discussion for today's live show. I'm of the opinion that the question that should be on our lips, on our mind, is that is Nigeria going to be following the party policies like before, like what we did earlier, or are we going to be voting for true federal character that will solve our collective issues and bring us together or into progress? But guys, before I keep going on and on the show today, we'll have a prominent politician, a public critic whose statesmanship, national stakes, and of course political credentials make him qualify for views on this topic and of course on this show, and that is true federal character. Let's say welcome to the show, Chief Bode John. It's always an honor to have you on the show. I think this is your third time appearing on the show. And let me start by saying Happy New Year, sir. And how are you doing today?
Yes, Happy New Year. Kike, how are you?
Very well, thank you, sir. I know that we've wasted it sometimes because of that. I think it's important for us to go straight to the point. And I would like to start. Hello, can you hear me, sir? Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
All right, I think it's better than. Oh, fantastic. So, sir, Nigerians are caught within party politics and candidacy based on qualification. And I must ask, have we come to a time in our country where we need to, you know, scrutinize credentials based on the federal character, and if it is necessary or needed for this presidency in 2023?
You know, let's do it the way the developed and the civilized countries do it. If we go through that route, I am sure we will be able to get a respectable, responsible, committed Nigerian to manage the affairs of this country. I have no doubt that God has blessed our nation beyond our own comprehension. There is no part of this country you will not find one person who is ardently qualified to manage the resources of our nation for the betterment of the people. All the political parties are juggling. We are looking for who can do it, who can we present. You see, those of us who are card-carrying members of the political parties, we are much smaller than the larger electorate. The electorate will eventually, decide which of these candidates they would latch on. Again, what happens is that every party has a procedure, a process of throwing up somebody out of all the aspirants that will throw in their hats that they want to compete. We have a methodology, we have a culture, we have a norm, how people emerge. And when you get to that, I would explain to the public how this is done, how this concept was brought into play by the founding fathers of our party, and how what led them to that was to prevent the collapse, the things that collapsed the First Republic in this country. And I think of course, there are little problems. We have noticed some lacunas there, but we should be able to work around them, have robust debates. Where should it go? Who should it be? And then they will also canvass. The aspirants will canvass. We don't have any godfather. We don't have any kingmaker. We have the people. And it is the will of the people that we respect in our own party.
Follow up to what you've just shared now, when you said that when it's time that you'll be able to explain to us, and I think that it's important for us to explain, reason being that PDP is a party that you strongly built while being the former national vice chairman of the party. So does PDP have a chance come 2023? And what would you say of your party when, or will I say with the types of candidates that are, surfacing for the presidential seats, sir?
Okay, now let me try and explain how this is done. You see, when the founding fathers started in 1998, they looked at the whole country called Nigeria and asked themselves a question. Let me try and remember the names of some of these people. You had Bola Tinubu from the southwest. We had Dr. Alex Ekweme from the east. We had Governor Bodo also from the east. We had Baba Bamanga Tuko from Adamawa, the northeast. We had Professor Aminu from the northeast. We had Solomon La from the north central. We had Alhaji Shiroma from Yobe, and we had Alhaji Rimi from Kano. If you look at the names that I have told you, that I've just mentioned, they were people who would normally not sit in the same room discussing politics because they are poles apart. But when the military handed over and wanted to go back to democratic dispensation, these founding fathers got together and said, look, what was the major problem that was driving this country into hell? They realized that in the north, you have the majority, even their party was NPC, Northern People's Congress. In the west, it was Action Group. In the east, it was NCNC. So what did they do? They said, look, what we need to do is to ensure that the mistakes of the past were avoided. What was that mistake? The majority had their way. the minorities were to be seen and not heard. The same thing repeated itself in the South. The majority had their way, the minority didn't have anything to contribute there. They were to be seen and not heard. So in that concept, they divided our nation into 6 geopolitical zones. That's what you find now. But if you look at the division, it is not in our own constitution. It's not in the national constitution. The geopolitical zones, the northeast, northwest, north central in the north, the southwest, the southeast, and the south in the south. And then they had 6 top positions in the land: the president, the vice president, the senate president, the speaker of the house, the secretary to the government, and the national chairman of the party. So 6 geopolitical zones, 6 positions. So no zone will go home without a respectable position, which is different from the old concept where you are to be seen and not heard if you are a minority. So the minorities were carried along. And once you do that, after 8 years, and what it means is the president, if he comes from the north, the vice president will come from the south, the senate president will come from the north, the speaker will come from the south, the secretary to government will come from the north, and the national chairman will come from the south. So you have 3 positions to the north, 3 positions to the south. So after 8 years, you rotate those positions. And so it was a near acceptable concept that at least we are moving from the mess we created to something that will guarantee that no matter what part of this country you come from, someday you can have somebody from your place who will be president with this arrangement. And it is not novel. It's not only in our country. In Switzerland, you have 3 majority tribes there. You have the Italians headquartered in Lugano. In Zurich, you have the Germans headquartered in Zurich. And then you have the French headquartered in Geneva. All right? So, and they do rotate these top positions in their land. And if you look at it historically, nobody since the First World War, the Second World War, in the heart of Europe, it is only Switzerland that had never been involved in any world wars, which meant that system was working. That at least if the Swiss and the Frenchman becomes president for a certain time, after some time he will go to the Germans, after some time he will go to the Italians. That's what we copy. But now that it is growing, this concept I'm talking to you about was not written. It was an oral history. And the major problem we are having had been that because it is oral, every 4 years or every 8 years, people will come trying to interpret it to suit their own ambition.
These 6 top positions you talked about that became acceptable by, of course, by choice. I don't know, in your calculation and numbering of them, there is nowhere the Easterners have a top position. Could this be the reason why they are really clamoring to have a position or to have a say in politics in 2023, sir?
No. You see, what happens is this. I told you about the 6 positions, right? Out of these 6 positions, the Southeast has also benefited tremendously from the position. They had produced Senate President, they had produced national chairman of the party, they had produced some like others too, the only position they have not produced is the presidency. And in their modus operandi, positions, these 6 positions are always zoned to the south or to the north. The only position that has never been micro-zoned, in other words, when it comes to the south, you may have to micro-zone it to the east or the west or the south-south. But the only position that is not micro-zoned is the presidential candidature. We don't. It goes to the south. Any zone in the south can compete. If it goes to the north, any zone in the north can compete. That is also not micro-zone. It's only the chairmanship of the party that is designed to be micro-zone because it's a party position. That is why now, because of the historical antecedents, the Southwest had become chairman, the president.
So, sir, talking about party position, because I know that PDP governors had a summit in Rivers State under the leadership of the party's national chairman, that's Mr. Ayu.
Right.
And I must ask, we have a number of credible governors doing well in their states that the party can push forward for the job of the presidency.
They will.
They will. Okay, what do you ask?
They will do that. They will do that, but you don't jump the gun. Okay. We will still, there was a zoning concept, zoning arrangement, and there was a zoning committee. All right, I think the governor of Enugu was the chairman of the zoning committee. His recommendation was that he said, well, let the chairmanship of the party be zoned to the north. And he left all the other 5 positions, left them hanging, saying that all the zones can compete for the position of the presidential candidature. That was not the way it was envisaged by our founding fathers. So the PDP still has a hell of a lot of problems to resolving this crisis, because we had just held the party convention, chairmanship, and all the other secretary of the party, deputy chairman of the party, publicity, and all those positions are now being done. But we must have our convention this year. And they said, okay, which is something new to me. That was not the way it was done. If you zone to all those 6 positions by the zoning committee and bring it back to the party for discussion, to be debated and be approved. But in their wisdom, they said, now only the chairmanship has been zoned to the north. Now, suddenly, the north, of course, met, and then they micro-zoned it, and Ayu emerged as the chairman of the party. Now, if, for example, we now go out to the national convention, and a presidential candidate emerges from the north, it means we must go back to the convention and redesign all those positions that are in the north now. They don't go with the presidential candidature. The positions in the south now go to where the president will be, because the chairman of the party and the president cannot be in the same zone. If you look at my fingers, president north, vice president south, senate president north, speaker south, secretary to government north, chairman of the party south. So there is no way that the party and the party chairman and the national president will come from the same zone. So we have said, how do you want to resolve it? But I believe in the ability, the consistency, the commitment, and the maturity of our own people in our party. Because our party is not a congregation of strange bedfellows. We will sit down, we will debate, we will discuss, and eventually we will resolve that. Because once chairmanship goes to one point, the presidency must go to another point. to another zone.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Right now, if it comes down.
Thank you so much, sir. Thus far, for all that you have said, we say thank you. And at this point, in line with all that you have said to Nigerians, what are the key qualities Nigerians should look out for in electing the next president come 2023?
You know, we had these experiences. We are growing. I think we are about 20-something years old now in democratic dispensation after the military. For me, whoever wants to rule this country must be educated. He must believe in the unity of this nation. He must not see Nigeria through the prism of his tribe alone. He must be accommodating. He must be cerebral. He must, and we have them like we have this pool of people in every corner of this country. But that is different from looking at our system of governance. You know, you are talking about how are we going to do it. We will make sure that whoever will emerge as our candidate must be a thoroughbred Nigerian who will not be absolutely tribalistic in everything that he is doing.
The Igbos are declaring their ambition with the likes of Ojikalu, Ayum Pius, right?
Yes,
and of course Kingsley Moghalu. But what's your idea of an Igbo president next year, and how do you think that we can solve the problem of marginalization, especially when it comes to the Biafra crying out with all that is happening thus far?
You know, like I will tell you, our concept says once it is zoned to the south, everybody, anybody from the southwest, the southeast, and the south can compete. If you remember the very first time that we started, Baba Ekweme competed against Baba Obasanjo. Even on his second term, he competed against him because it is not microzoned. So our friends from the southeast, let them get their best out as an aspirant and compete with anybody else coming from any zone. So we don't. I know that there is some kind of a plus on their side that their zone has never presented has never had any presidential candidate. So that can be taken into consideration. But the rest of the zones must be convinced. Southwest can compete, South can compete, and the Southeast also can compete. But when we get into the bridge, we will cross it. And I know we have always been fair when it comes to electing whoever will be our flag bearer. They will be allowed to talk, to travel, to convince, to campaign, to convince us why it should be them. And I know they have some outstanding characters and acceptable people with sound education, with the requirements that anybody can present to say he wants to be president of this country. But it is not like you demand it. You got to earn it. You will go around, you will campaign, you will convince the people, and we leave the rest to the other members of the party. If they are convinced, they will vote for you. And if they are not convinced, then they will tell you the reason why they are not convinced. I've met, I've traveled quite in so many other parts of this country. I know high saluting people with super brains who have done well. And but they must get out and convince the other members of the party that I am better than A, so vote for me. And so that's the procedure. It is not automatic, but they have an advantage on their side now by saying we have never produced a president. So that.
Sir, you have mentioned different qualities on what to look out for, who or characteristics to look out for in coming president. You mentioned he has to be respectable, responsible, he has to be a committed Nigerian, he has to be educated, he needs to believe in unity, he needs to be open-minded, accommodating, he needs to be cerebral. But sir, something is very pertinent that I think I have not heard so far. If you will permit me to say that the late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua was the first president we lost while in office. And I will think that everybody knew that his health stability could not go far. Yet, we were pushed under emotions and it was brought to us. Sir, we have the same problem now with President Muhammadu Buhari, jetting out of Aso Rock like going to Ikeja every now and then. And we know the story of the Aso Rock clinic. Is it wise for us not to think of health stability of the next candidate, sir? Knowing fully well that nature can take its course at any time. We understand that fact. But out of everything you have mentioned, sir, I have not heard you mention health stability. In this scenario, I'm saying a person who knows that he is not stable health-wise shouldn't bother to contest. Let them just have their peace in their house. So I don't know your take on this, sir.
I agree with you absolutely. You don't get somebody who is half alive, who is already in the departure lounge waiting for God to call his flight, to now say he will take on the responsibility of this nation. No.
Right from campaign word to word, local government, state to state.
We will not put an imbecile there. We will not. On our party side, we will make sure that somebody who is already in the departure lounge, who is ready to take his flight, God can call his flight anytime, through whatever. We will not. We will look at his health. A man who cannot have a quick dash of 100 meters in a reasonable time, he should go home and sit down and play with his grandchildren.
All right,
it is very key.
All right,
many times. Very key.
Many times for that. Many thanks for that, sir. You know, I must quickly touch on this based on what you just said, because the word on the streets is that one of the reasons why maybe you have challenges with one of the aspirants who is campaigning for presidency in 2023, and that is what's it called? Tinubu, Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu, is that maybe he's one of those people who you have legal issues with in the past, and this was said by Chief Osoba. What's your take on it, sir?
You know, I want to correct Chief Osoba. I knew him way back. He was senior to me. I knew his background. What we are asking for in this country is simple. He has nothing to do. When he was talking about all the crap about he has some legal, what? Anybody who is aspiring to head this nation, you know what he's asking? Nigerians, trust me. I will manage your resources for the betterment of you and your future generation. Can he himself guarantee that Bola will do that? I don't want us to waste time on all these. Who is he as a character? Is Bola Tinubu his name? Where did he come from? What does he do? He says, how did he get 2 billion vans into his house on an election day? We want to know. He's telling us, trust him. Trust you. You have your wife is the perpetual Senate candidate for Lagos Central. Your son is the only one doing the adverts all over Lagos. Nobody else. Your daughter is the young of Lagos.
All right, many thanks for your submission thus far, sir. We have a caller on the line from Kaduna. Hello, where are you calling from? Sorry, I think I didn't get the name earlier. Oladimeji, please make your contribution count. Hello. Apologies for holding you for too long. You know, sir, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am here.
You know, while I don't want us to concentrate so much on that, I think that I want to bring you back by asking you your own opinion, you know, because I know that I'm more impressed by the boldness or courage of the Khadijat Okunu Lamido. You know, that's the daughter of the former commissioner for works, and that's San Femi Okunu, who, as a youth, as far as I'm concerned, as a woman, is vying for the presidency. I know that a lot of people will say that she will not win, but what's your take on youth who have no godfather coming out for, you know, for the youth who have no godfather coming out for the job of the presidency? What's your take on that, sir?
You know, my take is, why not? The more the merrier. This nation has a pool of educated, courageous, those who are there, who can be committed to this nation and serve Nigerians, not self-service. Now, you know, but when I was reading some of the things he said in her own write-up, she was saying to me, telling the public that, oh, he's a cousin of Bola Tinubu. That's what I read, something like that. And I want to ask her, no, are you a cousin of Bola Tinubu?
No, she didn't say she was a cousin of Bola Tinubu. She said that she might be related to him. You know, and
if they are related or not related, okay, through his mother's side, or it can't be through his father's side. That for real, I know. Because the Okunus, our own family house, we are all on Evans Street in Lagos Island. But when she said, I said, well, maybe, because I know where Bola comes from. He's from Iragbiji. Is his own mother or any part of him from Iragbiji? So that puzzled me a little bit. And when he said, are you trying to now pump up? Look, the kind of character we need in this country, they must be bold. They must be ready to tell the truth to power. They must be honest. We want to know who you are before we can entrust the responsibilities of managing the resources of this country for the betterment of Nigerians. That's all we are asking. There's nothing that is hateful. There's nothing that is ungrateful in it. I have absolutely nothing. He's not my enemy. He didn't take my wife. Otherwise, I would have fought the hell out of him. But he didn't take my children. He didn't take anything from me. But the point is this. You want a leader. He must be respectable. Yes. We must know. We must be able to x-ray him. Who exactly are you? We want to know who you are.
Thank you so much, Chief.
We are convinced.
Thank you so much, Chief Olabode. I'd like to crave your indulgence at this point. Maybe you also want to add to maybe like your shopping list in your party, your platform. You know, I don't know if you share my sentiments that we also want a Nigerian who wants to be president of this country to have at the back of his mind to rebuild this country, this great country called Nigeria, so that we can get back her former glory. I don't know if you share my sentiments, sir.
I would try and expand on your thoughts. You know, first of all, the system of governance is not working. What we are running now is not working. It looks so much like as if it is a military structure. The center is too strong. The center is too strong. There must be devolution of power. Reduce the center, the power at the center, and devolve to the states. You see, when the British first came, we had Northern Protectorate, Southern Protectorate. We had the first constitution and all that. It was a parliamentary system, and then the military brought the presidential system. And the presidential system, we borrowed the American system. If you borrow something, go the whole hog. Look at the United States. California is the largest state in America. Maine is the smallest state in America. They are caught according to the available cloth. California is the sixth largest economy in the world. But you still have the White House. There are laws, there are things that you can do at your level, at your state level, because you must be publicly be impacting on the people of that state. So if you don't do that, everybody is running now to Abuja. Abuja is too strong. The center is too strong. We have to completely devolve the powers from there. And said, look at Britain.
All right, many thanks for that. I think we should end on that note, and I must say that it's been an interesting time with you on Real Talk with Kike live show. But before we let you go, sir, there's a trending stories, and this is what binds us together as family. And I must ask you for your submission. And the first trending story that caught our attention is that of Buhari, who unveiled the CBN refund. Mega rice pyramid in Abuja today. But sir, before I come to you, what's your take on this when you saw this trending story?
When I first saw the story, because I heard from some quarters that it was likely propaganda, you know, I said, if it is true, then it is commendable on the one hand. Then I started asking some questions. How will this affect the price of rice out there for the populace? Do you understand? And I listened to the former president of the Chamber of Commerce in Abuja today, you know, attesting to the fact that the rice pyramids are for real. They're coming in from Abuja airport. You can sight the pyramids. So I'm like, how is this going to affect the masses? How would it affect the masses? How benefit? Will they benefit from
sir, what's your take on this when you saw this story?
Is it another photo trick? What happens? The taste of a pudding is when you really eat it. Look, I saw the pyramid. You know how big Nigeria is? 200 million people. Is this just a facade? How do you get it to the table? How would you go to the market now and buy a bag of rice? It's unimaginable. It's so heart-wrenching. So we have now decorated all those. Look, that's to me is another masquerade dancing in the market. Let them get it. I don't want to see this picture. I want to see it in the marketplaces, but people will buy them. They will come back to me and say, sir, rice is now 5 naira per bag. Then you are talking. All this picture of pyramid, rice pyramid, 4110. Don't believe in it. Is another campaign.
All right. Many thanks for your submission, sir. And I must say, let me start from where you stopped yourself, 4110. Yes. But I must say that this is laudable effort, and objectively, we can say that it's a transformation in our rice production, if you ask me, in terms of the production capacity in agriculture. But I applaud them for.
They are hungry.
Yes, I applaud them for good job, well done. But my question is this, you know, just like you're saying that this is 4110 and this is photo shoot or Photoshop. For me, I feel that rice is not the only thing Nigerians want to eat, and that they should replicate the system, you know, and the process when it comes to other staple foods. And collectively, I believe that this country can do better, you know, in terms of agriculture. And
I agree with you. If they are properly managed, we got so much in this. Look, God has blessed this nation. I don't know how many parts of this country you have been. I have snaked through this country, and I know there is no part of Nigeria that God has not endowed with one resource or the other. When you talk about even the human resource, Boku like Sansan, that's what they will tell you.
All right,
and if you talk about natural resources, come on.
Right.
Okay, take this as a last one.
All right, many thanks for that. I think to just put a cap is that we should just stop celebrating tiny accomplishments.
Exactly.
I think we just have a giant jackpot. But quickly, because I know we've run out of time, the second trending story that caught our attention is that of federal government that files for fresh 15-count charges against Nnamdi Kanu. And I must ask you, sir, let me come to you, sir, and I will appreciate it if you can give me your submission in 1 minute. What's your take on this story?
You know, the Kanu issue is a security issue. I feel sorry for the young man, but nobody should be above the law. Nobody should be below the law. But what is being done to A, who commits that offense, must also be done to B, who commits the same offense. Justice.
I mean, what's your take on this?
Well, my take on it is that, like he has said, exactly what I thought, that we have seen partiality at its peak. Because you have people who still work on the corridors of power with different count charges. Their cases are in court. Some are even under charges of corruption. And they are still in office. And they are not brought to book. But when you hold one cat that went to steam it, it's like they want to even skin the cat alive. So what is good for the goose is equally good for the gander. Let us propagate it and make it go round. Yes. The law must take its place.
All right, many thanks.
Your ladies, the lady of justice is blindfolded. He has a scale and a sword. He does not respect anybody. Let us remain just, remain fair, and remain equitable. That is the only thing that will sustain our nation and get us to the level of, look at the British Prime Minister. They said, you told us not to go and drink. You told us not to go and have a party. You are having a party. He's in a serious crisis.
Yes.
He is not above the law.
All right, many thanks. Many thanks for that. So if you ask me, I just feel that these fresh charges, you know, I'm really shocked about it. And at the same time, I shouldn't be shocked because we are in Nigeria and anything happens, you know.
Goes.
And for Nnamdi Kanu, I just feel that the process of application for bail since last year and now is just unacceptable, because I feel that why are they rearranging him for another offense? And that is what happens in Nigeria. You know, just like Chief Bode George has emphasized, that we all deserve a fair hearing according to laws signed by the previous administration. I think Goodluck Jonathan at the time. I think that was the last law that is signed at the time. I feel that, you know, all this thing that is happening presently is unfortunate, that all these shenanigans, for lack of a better word, is still ongoing. And I'm afraid that they are yet, you know, to actually come to a place where they can have a fair trial for him. And these are the acts, if you ask me, that divide us as a country, where there's no unity among us. That is when you see that there are quite a number of people that will say that I belong here. You see the Biafras will come, you see the Oduduwa Nation and all of that. So, and what is going on right now, I feel that he has lacked the fundamental human right as a person. And at the same time, when I said I'm shocked and I'm not shocked, I shouldn't be saying that I'm shocked, because you know that in our country, this government of the day, and I'm saying it, this government of the day is like, this government is just being, I don't know, for lack of a better word, you know, help me out. I don't understand the Buhari that we voted into power, and I feel that the will to just do right is as if it's always good to use the judiciary to deal with Nnamdi Kanu, because that is exactly what is playing out right now. And I pray that the son that just came into power, that is Mike, you know, Ezemo. I hope I pronounced that properly. As you know, I hope that he will be able to lead the Defense Council to a place where there will be a difference, and we can do better when it comes to our judiciary.
I read something today, and Akon said, if we lie to the government, it is felony, but if the government lies to us, it is politics. So how far can we go?
All right.
With that,
on that note, it's just unfortunate we've come to the end of another edition of Real Talk with Kike show. But I must say, indeed, we had an awesome show on today's edition of Real Talk with Kike, courtesy our esteemed guest, that's Chief
Olabode.
All the states